Let's see the new feature, that is the Variadic Template Function feature in C++11. So here in this lecture you will be seeing what is this Variadic Template Function, what is its necessity, and what is the importance of this feature. Why did this feature came into arise in C++11? So let's see step by step, and we will be also writing the program on the IDE and we will be executing it. So moving to the next slide to understand what is this Variadic template function. Now in C++ we have this additional feature, and that is a Variadic template function. Now let's see what it is. It is a function taking the variable number of arguments of any data type. So what is this Variadic template function? By the name itself you can understand it's a template function. So we know what is template function in C++ also. The same piece of the code will be used for all the data types, right? Now this is about the template function. Now what is this Variadic template function? So by the name itself, Variadic, that means variable, that means changes. That is in the sense Variadic template function, it is a function taking variable number of arguments. That means number of the arguments may change. It can have one argument, or it can accept two argument, or it can accept three argument, or four argument, etc. So, and that too of any data type. So first of all, we know that in case of the template function, it will be for any data type. But this Variadic template function, additional thing is that the function should be defined in such a manner that the number of the arguments given to this function should be variable, should be changing, that too of any data type. That function is called as a Variadic template function. Now let us understand in deep what does it mean. So moving to the next slide, that is, let us see the example below. So suppose we have to create the display function which is taking the variable number of the arguments of any data type, and in that case we can call it by different way as below. So what is the definition of Variadic template function? It is a function in which it will take variable number of arguments. It can be of any data type. So consider we have to create a display function which will take variable number of arguments and that of any data type. So when we define that type of the function, then how can we call it? We can call it in a different way, that is as below. You can see here display. If we are passing here three arguments, you can see, suppose the display is defined in such a way that we will see later how it should be defined, what type of display function, when it will be called as a Variadic template function. That definition we will be seeing in ahead slides. But just at the calling time, when we suppose consider we have already defined the Variadic template function, which is a name with the name as display function. Now you can call it in different ways actually. That is, you can see here in the first line we are passing the three arguments. One is integer, then double, and then character. Or you can also call the display function and you can pass the two argument, that is 9, and then the second one is a character. Or you can call that function, that is display, and pass the double, again integer, again character, that is 4 number of arguments. So why you can call it in different way? Because the function, that is display, you have defined in such a way that it is a Variadic template function. That means, what is this Variadic template function? We have already seen its definition. It accepts variable number of arguments, any number of arguments, and it can be of any data type. So here you can see we can call in either of these ways. Here in first, when we call the display function, we are passing only 3 arguments, or we can call display function pass 2 arguments, or you can call by calling display function and next you are passing 4 arguments. So therefore you can see number of arguments, they are changing. So because why we can call in any of these ways, because we will see that how we have made the display function as a Variadic template function where it can accept variable number of arguments of any data type. Now let's see further to understand more better. So how should we define the display function? So you got to know that this display function will define in such a way that it will become a Variadic template function. Now for that, what criteria it should fulfill? for a function to become Variadic template function. In that case, it should satisfy these two criteria. First criteria is that it should accept any data type. It can be integer, it can be float, or it can be double, character, string, anything. It should accept any data type. That is the first criteria. And second criteria is that it should accept variable number of arguments. That is, it can either accept one argument, or it can accept two argument, or it can accept three argument, etc. So these two criteria it should fulfill. Let us understand more in depth. Now this first criteria, that is, it should be able to accept any data type. Now first of all, this we know that how we can have a function which can accept any data type. We know there is a template function. Now template function, it can accept any data type because it is a generic for all the data types. First criteria will be fulfilled if you select a template function in this manner. You can see here. To define a template function, you have to give this template first of all, and then in triangle bracket, within triangle bracket, the type name capital T, and the function which you are making a template function, that is display. What you are passing, this T actually that you are passing, and then argument, that is data. You are doing here simply displaying this data display. So this is how you can see we will be defining a template function. So now in case of the template function, as we know, it can accept any data type. So here we are having only capital T. So this capital T can accept any data type. It can accept integer, character, double, float, any data type it can accept. So that first criteria of Variadic template function is satisfied, that it can accept any data type, this template function. But what about the second criteria? So what was the second criteria? So first criteria, it should accept any data type, that is fulfilled in the template function. Second criteria is that it should accept variable number of arguments, that is number of the argument which should be passed in the function can be 1, can be 2, can be 3, can be 4. That means variable number of the argument, that condition it should satisfy. But you can see here in this template function, so only one argument is present. So how to simply make this template function actually as a Variadic template function, so that it can have the variable number of the argument, different number of the arguments. So it is like, so here just have explained that if you note example shown in the previous slide, that is this example, if you just monitor actually what you will find. First of all, this is a template, this displays a template function, yes, and it is first of all have by the type name T, and it is having only one argument. So this T can be integer, character, double. So it is fulfilling the first criteria. So but the second criteria is what, that it should have variable number of argument, and that is not satisfied actually when in case of the template function, that only I mentioned. So in that case, what came into account in C++11, what feature came in C++11 which will satisfy both these criteria, that is it should accept any data type, that we have seen in template function. But in template function, it accepts only one argument, it does not accept variable number of arguments. So to also fulfill this second criteria, the new feature came in C++11, and that is simply the Variadic template function. To define this Variadic template function, so first of all is a template function, so therefore this template keyword, and Variadic, that means number of the arguments will be changing. So we have to define like this, that the template function, like name of template, and then in triangle bracket open, type name capital T, okay, and comma. So you have to add this additional thing so as to make it as a Variadic template function. What you're adding one more type name, and then space triple dot space args, that you have to pass. And then in this display function is a template function. So here we will be passing this capital T as a first argument of this display function. This is the first argument with the name data, and the data type will be T, okay, and then comma, this args actually space triple dot space args, in this manner. And how it should display, here we are displaying simply the data. So therefore cout, and then this message will be coming, and then data, and we'll be ending. So you can see here that what we are displaying only this first argument of this display function. We are not displaying the rest argument of this display function, but we are calling one more time the display function, and then we are passing the pending argument. So we are passing this args space triple dot. So this is how you have to simply, this will be your Variadic template function. Now let's see the example